In the land of Umuaka, where the sun rises gently over the red earth and the people say, "He who laughs last laughs best," there lived a beautiful young woman named Nneka. Nneka was not beautiful in the way some people think beauty should be, a slim waist and narrow hips. No. Nneka's beauty was the kind that shone from her heart and mind, but many were too blind to see. She was a full-bodied African queen, blessed with curves that told stories of strength, health, and heritage. At 23, Nneka's heart belonged to a man named Chucks. Chucks was handsome, tall, and charming, but his eyes were clouded by vanity. He loved attention more than he loved Nneka. When he met Oses, a sleek, slim woman whose beauty glittered like a newly polished mirror, his shallow heart wandered. So, one sunny afternoon, Chucks broke Nneka's heart. "Nneka, you're a good woman," he said, avoiding her tear-filled eyes, "but you're not what I want anymore." He left her for Oses. Within a year, they were married. Nneka's heart was shattered into pieces. For weeks she wept, her pillow soaking with tears, but her wise mother told her, "Nneka, the river that forgets its source will dry up. Focus on yourself, my daughter, for God does not make mistakes." And so Nneka rose from her pain. She poured all her strength into her dreams. She studied hard, her nights long and her books filled with ink. Like a baobab tree that grows tall despite harsh winds, Nneka graduated top of her law class. She became the pride of her family, walking across the stage in her lawyer's robe. Her mother rejoiced. Nneka soon joined one of the most prestigious law firms in the city. There, she dazzled judges and humbled seasoned lawyers. Her intelligence was like a sharp blade, precise, unstoppable. Among those who noticed her was Jide, a 32-year-old partner in the firm. Jide was wealthy, handsome, and admired by many women. Yet, he was drawn to Nneka because she was different. She respected herself, never chasing his attention like others did. At first, Nneka kept her distance. Her heart still bore scars from Chuck's betrayal. But Jide was patient. He admired her mind, her dignity, and her laughter that rang like bells. Slowly, trust grew like seeds watered by rain. One evening, after a long day at work, Jide said, "Nneka, you're brilliant, and you could be even more stunning. But if you want, I'll help you get healthier, not because I want you to change, but because I want you to live long and strong." Touched by his sincerity, Nneka agreed. Together, they began working out at the gym. Day by day, she grew fitter, stronger, her confidence blossoming like a hibiscus flower in the morning sun. Months passed, love and friendship bloomed. Jide, without even realizing it, began to fall for Nneka, and this time, love was pure, mutual, and steadfast. Jide became attracted to her personality, sense of humor and intelligence, and he gradually fell in love with her. He asked for her hand in marriage, she accepted, and they had a society wedding so grand that even newspapers carried their pictures. Nneka wore a dazzling white dress with coral beads that spoke of heritage and strength. People whispered, "Ah! See how the girl that was rejected became the jewel of the city." People cheered. Years later, on an ordinary afternoon, Nneka walked into a supermarket. She wore a green blouse and jean, yet her elegance turned heads. She reached for a basket of fresh vegetables when she noticed a man nearby. At first, she didn't recognize him. His shoulders were slouched, his face worn and tired. But when she looked closer, her heart skipped. "Chucks?" she said softly. The man turned, startled. His eyes widened, but he hesitated, as though unsure who she was. "It's me, Nneka." Chucks blinked, shame flooding his face. The woman standing before him was radiant, glowing with success and grace. Nothing like the girl he once scorned. They exchanged awkward greetings, and Nneka asked about life. With a bitter smile, Chuck said, "Nneka, my greatest mistake was letting you go. Oses. She's made my life miserable. I lost everything chasing shadows." Nneka felt a pang of pity but not regret. She looked at him with calm eyes, then softly said, "Life teaches us lessons, Chucks. Sometimes, when you throw away gold, you end up holding stones." She smiled politely and excused herself. As she walked away, her phone rang. It was Jide, checking in on her. Nneka's heart warmed. Months passed, and Nneka's life blossomed even more. She was now pregnant with their first child, her belly round like the full moon that blesses harvest nights. Their luxurious home was a symbol of grace and hard work, adorned with art pieces from across Africa, and laughter often filled its walls. One evening, while Jide was still at the office, Nneka sat in their living room, sipping hibiscus tea and flipping through a law magazine. The quiet hum of the ceiling fan lulled her into a calm rhythm. Then, a knock on the door. Slow and firm. Nneka, with her graceful waddle, rose to answer. She opened the door and froze. There stood Chucks. His suit was neatly pressed, and in his hand was a black briefcase. But his face held the weight of shame and regret. "What are you doing in my home?" Nneka asked sharply, her eyes narrowing. Chuck shifted uncomfortably, his lips parting to speak, but before he could answer, footsteps echoed from behind her. Jide entered, his broad smile lighting up the room. "Ah, my love," he said warmly, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Remember I told you I hired a new personal assistant to replace the lady who went on maternity leave? Well, this is him." He turned to Chucks. "Nneka, meet Chucks. And Chucks, this is my beautiful wife, the most brilliant lawyer in all of Africa." Nneka's heart thundered in her chest. She kept her composure, though memories of betrayal flashed before her eyes. Chucks bowed respectfully, avoiding her gaze. "Good evening, Ma. It was nice to meet you. I'll take my leave now," he said awkwardly. He placed the briefcase gently on the center table, his hands trembling slightly. "That's okay, Chucks," Jide said casually, holding Nneka's hands. Without lifting his head to look at the couple, Chucks turned and walked out, his footsteps echoing through the marble hallway. The door closed softly behind him, but the air in the room was thick with unspoken history. Nneka lowered herself carefully onto the couch, her mind racing. She felt no bitterness, only a deep sense of irony. The man who once rejected her for her size now worked quietly in her husband's shadow, unable to lift his head in her presence. Jide noticed her silence and sat beside her. "My queen, you look troubled. Something on your mind?" She turned to him, a soft smile tugging at her lips. "Life is funny," she said, stroking her belly. "How tables turn." Jide chuckled and kissed her forehead. "When you carry yourself with dignity, God lifts you above your enemies. You've always been that kind of woman." Nneka leaned into his embrace, peace washing over her. She was reminded of her mother's words. "A woman who knows her worth will never stay where she is not valued." And now here she was, valued beyond measure. Whenever Chucks comes around, he treated Nneka with deep respect, never daring to meet her eyes. And the people of Umuaka whispered this tale with knowing nods. Do not despise the humble beginnings of another. Today's rejected stone may become tomorrow's cornerstone. Nneka's story is a message to young women, that self-respect, hard work, and grace are more powerful than fleeting beauty. And so, as the moon shone bright over their home that night, Nneka rested her head on Jide's shoulder, her heart full. The woman they once mocked was now a queen, while those who scorned her bowed their heads in regret.